So today, we're going to talk about a step in the design process that honestly gets skipped way too often. And when it does, it can lead to just a ton of wasted time, blown budgets, and some really frustrating do-overs. But when you do it right, it can literally be the one thing that guarantees your final product is a success. We're talking about the mid-fidelity wireframe.
Okay, let me ask you something. In any design project, doesn't matter if it's a website, a mobile app, whatever, what do you think is the single biggest, riskiest leap you can possibly take? It's something teams do all the time when they're trying to move fast, but it almost always comes back to bite them.
The leap is this: going straight from a napkin sketch, a really rough idea, directly to a beautiful, polished, high-fidelity design. I get it, it feels faster, but what you're really doing is trying to jump across a huge canyon with no bridge. You're trying to pick out colors, fonts, and fancy styles before you've even figured out the basic structure of the thing. And that is exactly where our solution comes into play. That essential bridge you need to cross the chasm, that's the mid-fidelity wireframe. Look, it's not about making things pretty yet. It's about creating the structural blueprint for your entire project.
So what exactly is a mid-fidelity wireframe? Well, think of it like an architect's blueprint. It gives your idea real structure, real clarity. You're not worried about the final look just yet. Instead, you're focused on the functional bones of the design. You're answering the big questions like, where does everything go? How much room does it need? And how is a person actually going to interact with it?
The real power of this stage is the focus it forces you to have. You're only thinking about the core stuff, the layout, the spacing, the hierarchy, and you have to deliberately ignore all the distracting details for now. Things like colors, fonts, and cool images. This intense focus is so key to getting the foundation right before you start building the rest of the house.
This right here is the moment of transformation. You're taking a fuzzy, half-baked idea and turning it into a solid, structured plan. This is where you really nail down the hierarchy of information, making sure the most important stuff is front and center so users can get things done without thinking too hard.
But the real magic of this blueprint isn't just in the planning, it's in the testing. It's all about making sure your core ideas actually work before you sink a ton of time and money into making them look perfect.
So why bother building the blueprint? Well, because it lets you test your biggest assumptions right away. Is this layout actually going to work for people? Is the path from A to B intuitive? A wireframe lets you play around with different versions and smooth out those user flows, catching huge problems when they're still cheap and super easy to fix.
And this is where you start to see all those little problems that were hiding in plain sight. Things like a screen feeling way too crowded, or elements not lining up properly, or navigation that just doesn't make sense. You might not see those flaws in a simple sketch, but once you build a wireframe, they become glaringly obvious. You just can't hide a bad layout in a blueprint.
What you're really doing here is creating this amazing feedback loop. You build the wireframe, you test how people move through it, you get real feedback from them, and then you tweak the design based on what you learned. It's this super fast cycle of making things better, and it all happens before you're locked into a polished look.
And all of this brings us right back to our main idea. The mid-fidelity wireframe isn't just some extra step you can skip. No way. It is the essential bridge that connects your raw initial concept to a working, interactive prototype that people can actually use.
I mean, the source material just says it perfectly. It's a bridge between concept refinement and interactive prototype building. It's that crucial link that makes sure all those great ideas you refined are what actually get built into something real.
And what does this bridge give you? Real, tangible results. It massively cuts down on expensive rework later. It gives your whole team confidence that you're actually building the right thing. It becomes the single source of truth for everybody involved. And most importantly, it means your design decisions are backed up by evidence, not just guesswork.
Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the whole journey. It all flows from the sketch, the initial idea, to the wireframe, which is the blueprint. From there, you build the prototype, which is the model. And only then do you get to the final product, the actual build. You see? The wireframe isn't optional. It's the structural heart of the entire process.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought. I mean, think about it. Whether you're building a house or a digital product, is building without a blueprint ever a good idea? By taking the time to build that bridge, you make sure you're building on solid ground. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.